right, so April is chiseling. What is she chiseling? She's chiseling out these beautiful bathroom tiles.
I've been working on demoing the bathroom today by chiseling the tiles off the wall. You can see how tall I can reach here, and then I'm a lefty, so getting purchase coming in from the right has been difficult. I'm going to have Steve help me start a row there, but I've got a lot of it off. That stuff is super glued on. I don't know what that is, but we're going to end up having to take this off. This is drywall or some kind of cement board on top of old plaster that was stamped to look like tile. So it's kind of a shame that they put that on top of it, because otherwise we could have just painted that plaster and that would have been really cool, an original feature to the house, but it's wrecked. There's no way to save that now. So we've decided to go back down to the studs in this bathroom. Unfortunately, there's some plaster, but as you can see, it's cracking and they put some sort of weirdo texture on it. And it's only halfway down at this point anyway. So when you take a look at the room and the size of it, it's gonna be just easier to remove the walls and put new drywall up. So that's a bummer, but Steve has removed the toilet. Yuck. And he is working on taking up the tile. This was my attempt at taking up the tile. And that took me like half an hour. And then that took Steve like half an hour. So we see who gets that job. Steve also ripped into this wall so that the plumbers could plumb both this sink and where they're gonna be putting the washer dryer. And then I've been working on saving as many of the tiles that I'm pulling off the wall as possible. So I have a nice little stack here of various sizes and shapes, because there are lots of other people like us who like to restore old houses and use the original materials. So this is going to be somebody's restored bathroom, I'm sure. We have a great little salvage shop up in Albany that we shop at. So I'm hoping maybe we can do a little bartering, like trade them this tile for something fun for one of these rooms. And there's the toilet. We're gonna put it back in once we get the bathroom redone. So demo is not my favorite, but as my neighbor says, it has to look worse before it can look better. So if that's the case, well, we're well on our way.
All right, so I'm in the small bathroom. I've been demoing today, as you can see, tearing down the hardy board, the cement board. There's old pressed plaster behind here. Unfortunately, it's all cracked, so we can't save it. So what am I doing on the floor when the walls are things that I'm working on? Well, let me show you. All right, here we are near the floor. That looks fine, but wait. Oh, there's a pile. Ooh. So I've been taking out all this old tile flooring. It's coming out. It's fighting against me, but it's coming out. Figured out a process to take it out. Originally, I was using. I was using this flat chisel, and I was chiseling it with a mash hammer underneath these floor tiles. That was slow going. That was rough. Then, oh friends, I discovered my friend the Wonder Bar. It's been a little bit beat up, as you can see. Me hammering away at it. I'm hammering it underneath these tiles and then just jiggling.
this is the side of home renovation they don't really show you on the home improvement shows. The part where you get to make your house look a heck of a lot worse and make lots of piles before it can look better. We're in the process of removing walls from areas of the house where the plumber and the electrician are going to need to work. Previous plumbers have done such a poor job with the house and the plumbing that we are having to really demo significant amounts of the house so that the new plumbers can fix the issues and then we can fix the framing issues. As part of that process, we're also having to address insulation because it's really cold and it's letting a lot of hot air out, cold air in, which is driving up our electric bills. So today, I'm working in the kitchen sunroom. Eventually, we're gonna have to rebuild the entire room. It's leaning, it's moldy, it's got holes. But for today, I'm working on insulating. Look, Joanna, it's shiplap. Yep, shiplap with nothing behind it. So the walls, when it gets below zero outside, are really cold in the kitchen and it's making the electricity go crazy. So my project today is to take this weird piece of 70s paneling off the wall and then replicate this effort, doing insulation here. We're just doing enough. This is not a permanent fix. We're doing enough to keep the house in envelope while we wait to do a better job demoing, insulating, electric, plumbing, blah, 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 blah. So my project is insulation and then curtains and then plastic sheeting to just try to help stabilize some of the insulation. Big fun. Here we go. Well, this is what it looks like after the drywall is off the walls, cleaned up, bagged up, ready to be hauled out. It's a never-ending circle of house to dump, house to dump, house to dump. I thought you might like to see what Steve and I discovered behind this wall. So all these little pieces of wood, this is not shiplap. This is called lath. It's what the old plaster wall used to attach to. This was not a plaster wall anymore. It was drywall. Behind the plaster, though, is a chimney. We knew there was one. We just didn't know what it looked like down here. There's a hole here, a circle, so it was probably a wood stove right here that's vented up to that area, which is kind of cool. So the plumbers use this cavity to do some plumbing. There's some electric. And then down here, they just never bothered to put a floor in. So when we took the wall down yesterday, it was open to the basement. I could wave to Steve in the basement, which is not good if you're trying to keep heat not in the basement. So because of all the pipes and stuff, there wasn't really a good way to fix that in a great way. So Steve just shoved lots of rigid foam insulation, which is all we have on hand down there. And I'm gonna go get an old comforter from a store and shove that down there too and hope that helps keep some hot air in. The less glamorous side of doing home renovations. Not my favorite part. Another day, another wall ripped down. Steve ripped down this little soffit, which has some plumbing behind it, and then, you know, I came behind to decorate with my very fancy plastic. And there's actually a big porthole from the second floor straight down to the basement, no floors, so it was just plain old basement air coming all the way up, which is not good if you want to keep the heat in the house. So I stuffed little bits of insulation where the pipe was, and I plasticked, and I shoved some insulation in there, and then here guys, this is kind of gross, but my litmus test is, are the cobwebs moving? Yummy. Because when Steve first took the wall down, the cobwebs were blowing in the breeze that was coming up from the basement. So my goal was to make the cobwebs stand still. And check it out. They are standing still. Aren't you so glad to know that? So we're almost done demoing the kitchen. We at some point need to demo this wall too, but it's also sharing the outside wall, and so unless the plumber absolutely needs us to demo it, we're not going to, because the more external walls we rip off, the colder it gets in this house, the harder the heat has to work to keep up. So at some point we're going to demo it. Why? Because I mean, it kind of looks okay, but down at the bottom behind Steve's big saw, you can't see there's a big hole in the plaster. So half of the wall is plaster, half of the wall is drywall. There's big holes in the plaster. There's no point in having plaster here since we're just going to put cabinets. So we're going to take the plaster part down and replace it with drywall. But other than that, I don't think there's much left to demo. I do think we're going to have to put fresh insulation in there. I mean, I don't know, that's nasty. So we'll need to re-insulate, but that is a much smaller job than it was at our own kitchen. And in our own kitchen, they had like lots of angled wood for stability for the house, and there are no angles here, so I don't have to cut tiny little insulation triangles like we did at our house. So it should be an easier insulation job, she says. Now we'll see. Not my best work, but we've got the first level somewhat insulated. I used a variety of materials to make this happen. Remember the goal being trying to keep the cold air out. So there's shiplap, behind the shiplap, there's insulation, and then I just put up some plastic sheeting. It's nice and puckered over there because there's some wiring sticking out, and then because I did that, I ran out. So, you know, there's a little patch job. This side, I was gonna take that 1970s paneling off, but it's full of shiplap behind it, so there'd be no way for me to insulate behind it anyway. So hey, what do you know? Extra insulation, not really, kind of, a little bit. I just went ahead and plasticed over it. So yeah, next up, curtains. Curtains, baby. Home decorating, sad edition. Look, doesn't it look so much better with really haphazard curtains? It's the first time I've screwed curtains into the wall, but they're thermal. I put a double panel on each one, in front of the plastic, in front of the insulation. So hopefully that helps keep the warm air in and the electric bill down.